Hello and good afternoon. Happy holidays, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Lunch Break Special. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. And ladies and gentlemen, what a way to kick off the holiday week. We are 6 days away from Christmas. Now, for some, that's exciting. For others, it brings a moment of panic, of palpitation, because, well, the holiday is around the corner. Hopefully, you guys and gals have had a chance to do your holiday shopping and that you're done. Mrs. Boomstick, myself, and her sister were out super, super early yesterday, out almost the entire day, and we got everything done. Now it's about wrapping and it's about cleaning and a couple of housekeeping elements that we want to get into before we get into this amazing show with a very special guest that's joining us. First, and I think the most important aspect here is a big shout out to Crazy Lou Gaming, who got married to his best friend this Saturday. I mean, the chef's kiss. He looked like an absolute stud in his tux. He's enjoying his honeymoon. And he's even had a chance, even on honeymoon, drop a couple of comments like the crazy man that he is into the DM. Crazy Lou, we love you. Congratulations on your marriage this weekend. You looked like a rock star, and hopefully, like Josie and I, we will be married 23 years next June. And listen, hopefully you have as much fun as we continue to have as not only husband and wife, but best friends. Secondly, the output of shows for the next 2 weeks, and I will put this on my social media and also on YouTube so you know when and what we're doing. We are doing live shows Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of this week. I am taking off Thursday and Friday to help Mrs. Boom put the house together because we're hosting Christmas. And then the following week, folks, which is the week after Christmas, we are only doing shows Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. The Thursday show, which is, of course, the Xbox, the Xvlog live show, that is usually a one-on-one, but I'm gathering a panel. Hopefully, I can get at least 10 people. We're doing our end of year, not the game of the year show, because that's going to be coming. That's going to be a special 2-hour show that I do with my brother and my two best friends that I grew up with. I think it's our 10th or 11th a year in a row that we're doing it, not live. We usually just do it like a bunch of nerds in someone's house. This time, a couple of years, we've been doing it live. But next week, we're doing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. This week, we're doing Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Mrs. Boom and I are going to take a nice 5-block holiday off. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then we get back into the swing of things. And then the following week, which I'll talk with everybody in the panel here. New Year's Day, if my brothers can be here, we will have a show on New Year's Day to start 2023. But of course, I want to get into the introductions. First of all, Retri, who's not only the power broker, if you will, of Game Pass information, but he's also a newly anointed member of the Xbox Factor podcast on Tuesdays. Retri, how you feeling, brother? And welcome.
I am feeling good, Boom. I'm ready to talk about these awesome topics, and I'm excited for Christmas and all the activities that we're going to be doing. So, and hello to chat. I just want to thank everybody for showing up this past weekend for our community game night. It was our first one.
Nice.
There's only 3 of us, but we had a lot of fun, and there was definitely some drunk laughter going on.
Some shenanigans, if you will.
There was some shenanigans for sure.
Well, listen, it's great to have you here. Real quick, Friday's Breakfast with Boom. Obviously, if you missed it, it was our 5th annual Christmas with Mr. and Mrs. Boomstick. We gave away $1,000 in 2 hours, folks, and I can report with full authority that $700 of that 1,000 has been already doled out to the winners. Masshole 1977, who reached out in the chat already, brother, DM me, let me know what card for what platform you want. and I'll have to go out and pick that up. And when I do, I'll drop it there. Pixelbit G was also a winner. I know that he is constantly in the chat as well. And Pragmatic Eagle is another winner of a $100 gift card to your platform of choice. And obviously, again, Mrs. Boom and I had given out this year $3,500 worth of prizes.
It's
And again,
crazy, Boom.
that is not corporate sponsored or funded. That's literally coming out of our bank accounts. But like I said, that comes the way of you, the people that watch and support this channel through viewership and through super chats and through channel membership. And what we do is we get the monies from YouTube after they take their 30%, like the Gestapo, and we put it away, and we have these big contests, and it's our way of paying it forward, about giving back to the community. And we are very happy we were able to do that many contests with that amount of money in a time where money is kind of tight for a lot of people. So obviously, if you missed that show, definitely go check it out, because the stories that were told were awesome. Probably some of my favorite that we've done, and we've been doing it for 5 years. It's one of the biggest aspects of the show is not so much the game talk, if you will. It's about the personal stories. You get to take a look behind the curtain of your favorite podcaster. But Web Dave, first of all, welcome and congratulations on the outstanding interview you did with the legendary Tim Dog. It's out for everyone to check out. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing really good. I'm really glad that it dropped today, and that everybody gets a chance to check it out. And it's not only available on a YouTube video, but it's also on iTunes, just everywhere that you can get the RSS feed
Nice.
is available. So it was awesome. And man, what a great show you had on Friday. Enjoyed being a part of it. Thank you very much. And ready to get into it today.
Yeah, it was really, it's an honor to have you a part of that show each and every week, but more specifically
Thanks,
that
man.
particular show. It's great stories all around. Fuzzy Belvedere, what's going on, my brother? How you feeling?
I'm doing great and glad to be here. Thank you for having me. And man, just awesome time between Friday's show to today, and topics we're going to get into. Definitely for all those out there that haven't checked out Dave's Outbreak podcast with Tim Dog, definitely check that out. But man, oh man,
Thanks,
we got
buddy.
some stuff to talk about today, and I can't wait. Let's
Yeah,
do this.
we're going to open up with a little bit of criticism, folks. And look, one of the things that I love about being a podcaster is being honest. You come here because I'm positive. You come here because I will give the righteous smoke where it's deserved. But I don't mind critiquing my favorite game company for when they seem to fall a little short of what is expected of them to deliver. And I'm talking about Xbox. And I want to talk about HighOnLife for a second. It was brought to my attention this very early this morning from a good friend of the program, great friend of the community, one bad mother of Xbox era. He confirmed this. He double, triple, and quadruple checked it because, well, that's what he does. And HighOnLife is in the Xbox games sold in the top 10, ladies and gentlemen, in the top 10. This is a game that literally was destroyed by the review community. And Retri and I were talking about this, and I didn't say much about it because the game is polarizing. The humor is very Rick and Morty. If that is not your bag, you're probably not going to enjoy the game.
And you shouldn't be reviewing the
And you
damn
probably
game if
shouldn't
you
review.
do not like that
Yeah.
comedy.
Yeah, I absolutely
saying.
agree. I mean, I think websites nowadays have more than just one reviewer, and if this is not your bag, then you probably shouldn't be reviewing it. And Retri, you said something that I want you to talk about live on the air. You and I both are on agreeing here that we feel that if this was a PlayStation 5 exclusive, this would have been given high nines. And they would have been praising the humor. They would have been praising the graphics. By the way, the graphics and the control and the if you listen, if you're on the fence about playing the game, it is basically a Metrovania type of environment where you'll come across doors that are locked that you can't get into, or things that are too high for you to jump to. And later on, you get all this equipment that allow you to get into these secret locations. and you can go and explore all you want. There are these treasure chests that are alive that you stab, of course. That you come back around much later in the game, and you acquire a jetpack later on, so you can fly everywhere. It's I put it to this way: it's one of my favorite games of the year for a multitude of reasons. But Retri, let's get first of all two things.
Yep.
It's in Game Pass, right? And one of the things that I've noticed with this community is, and again, Microsoft uses our podcast to great success. We sell a lot of their games for them because we are fans. We are excited to talk about the platform. I don't mind doing it. I have been very, very blessed by Microsoft, not only listening to the show, but people at Xbox inviting me to things that other people don't get a chance to go to. And that's because of my positivity towards the brand. And I genuinely have an excitement for the brand. But HighOnLife is one of those games that if it's not for us advertising, you don't see much of it going on. Now, squanchgames, confirmed by Retri, it's a small development house, 50 people, folks.
Yeah.
50 people in that studio brought this game to life. And I would imagine they did it on the shoestring budget. And the fact that it's in Game Pass, Microsoft probably should be advertising it more. Now, I've seen a lot of talk with people that suggest that it might be because of its adult humor. Listen, folks, gaming is a divisive beast. There's going to be games for kids. There's going to be games for adults, and there's going to be games for everyone, to enjoy. This is one that you do not want to play around your kids. I totally understand that. The humor is very, very adult. And some of the things are quite shocking. But with all of that said, I kind of wish they would have pushed the envelope with this game, and I didn't see that. I didn't see billboards in Manhattan. I didn't see front page of anything. Look, if there's one criticism that I have with Xbox, it's the 2Ms. And the 2Ms I'm talking about is marketing and messaging. And they know this. They've heard this from us. This is not something new to them. Now, we're not specifically talking about it today because I have a whole panel and a whole original written topic for tomorrow's Xbox Factor podcast. But there is a rumor that has been put out there by Jez Corden and Randall Thor that there is a first-party event, about 30 minutes, coming in early 2023. Now, we don't know they're not calling it an XO. They're saying that it's going to be more of a Nintendo Direct style kind of event, and I've really been wanting them to do that, because say what you want about Nintendo Directs, not every game may be for you, but they are sharp and they're right to the point, and they give you gameplay, and it's quick. You get a lot of information in a short amount of time, and that's what I'm hoping Microsoft. The change in the 2Ms that I want to see Microsoft happen might be happening. So I can't criticize them for not making the change, because that change might be coming. But Retri, before we get into the review aspect, am I on to something with the 2Ms when it comes to Microsoft?
Excuse me. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say any different. I complain about their lack of marketing all the time. Like I said, with the Wo Long event, if you didn't know, there was a Wo Long event for an hour.
I knew that,
by the way.
I didn't know that, if you know what I mean.
Nobody on the internet knew about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know why? Because Microsoft didn't tell anybody about it.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you do that? IGN and I think Game Rant talked about it. I couldn't find it anywhere else.
Nope.
It wasn't on PC Game Pass.
Nope.
It wasn't on Xbox Game Pass. Wasn't on Xbox Wire. It was nowhere. So I had to tell people about it, and they were like, "What? What's going on? Is it an XO?" I'm like, "I don't know." But that's how IGN was touting it, as an XO event, and nobody knew about it. So watching that, I saw the numbers, and they weren't great. Between IGN and all the streams, you had about 3,000 people watching it.
Wow.
Now, I know a lot of people don't agree with my take on. I think they should have been at the Game Awards.
Oh, dude, 100%. I agree. Yeah.
Other people in the community, I know you do, but you're talking over 100 million, 3,000. And even after it was done, when people rewatched it, it only doubled. So you're talking about 6,000 people or 100 million. I mean, guys, I don't know what to tell you. If you think that's good marketing, you're insane.
Yeah.
So it's just weird. I don't understand what they're doing. I think they need to either increase their budget for marketing or start hiring people like us. I really don't understand what the heck it is that they're doing. But if you think this is a one-off event, you are wrong. Go ask Clobriel. We talk about this stuff all the time.
Yeah, he's you know what? Say what you want about Clobriel, and I love that dude. Which he was still not following me, which is crazy. Clobriel, I'm looking at you, brother. He gives it to Microsoft, and he specifically have talked about this particular thing about the marketing. And now, like the Wu Long event. Was there an event? 6,000 people know about it. Okay, but if this was a Sony event, 6 million people would have known about it. You know what I'm saying? Wu Long, yes, it's not an exclusive, but folks, that's day one Game Pass. That has the potential, folks. Let's call a spade here, Retri.
And it's soon.
It's
right around the corner.
Not only is it right around the corner, but it has the potential to be as big as something like what am I missing? It's the Souls game that came out at the beginning of the year.
Elden Ring.
Elden Ring. Jesus Christmas. Elden Ring. Now it's if anyone played the demo, it's very Elden Ring-esque, if you will. Mm-hmm. And I immediately I remember, guys, I'm not a Souls dude. That's like that. That's not my bag. But this played very, very, very similar to Elden Ring, and it gave me some hints of Onimusha, one of my favorite Capcom games. So the fact that they had this event, Retri, and we don't know about it, I think it misses the mark. I think you missed the potential for people to come over and say, wait a second, that's coming in the Game Pass? That's a $60 or $70 game. That's right into the, you know what I'm saying? It
looked amazing, guys. I don't know if you have watched it yet, but it's Team Ninja doing what Team Ninja does, man. It's like Ninja Gaiden mixed, like what Boom was saying, with Elden Ring. I think it's going to be a really solid game. And they showed it for an hour and showed a lot. So it's looking good.
It's looking good, but you see, it's one of those things. And again, I kind of want to move on to, let you continue with squanchgames, HighOnLife.
Yeah.
We're selling the game. People are playing the game because we're talking about it, not specifically me. Like I have a small thumbprint in the community. It's not that big. Trust me when I tell you. But there are others. Dealer Gaming is talking about it. 100,000 subs. Cold Eastwood talking about it. 50,000 subs. Everyone that has a presence on YouTube is talking about it, but we're not hearing it from Microsoft, and I think it does the game a disservice. And I do want you to kind of touch on that, but I do want to let people know: do not go based on reviews. If you are metascoring this game and you have not played it, and you have Game Pass, you are missing out on one of the best games, one of my favorite games of the year. Yes, the humor is not for everyone, but the game is gorgeous to look at. They did have some issues with some dialogue. They did a patch. It's been perfect ever since. No issues whatsoever. The fact that this is in the top 10 of selling games on Xbox.
Yeah.
I
love that.
With in Game Pass, and we are selling it for this, for the company. And Microsoft needs to be a little bit better and a little bit more aggressive when it comes to marketing stuff, especially in Game Pass. Well, what are your thoughts on that?
I do want to mention the whole Game Pass factor. People have to realize, if this was not in Game Pass, I don't think this game is a success at all.
No,
because it got just just try it, right? We just tried it, and a lot of us were like, man, these scores are really low. This game's really good. And then we went on Twitter and everywhere else, and we talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
Without Game Pass, I think this is a dud.
It's dead in the water. It's dead in the water.
I think it's completely dead. No one's touching it. Because unfortunately, Metacritic exists, and a lot of people do listen to that. And that's fine if you do, because we only have so much money. You know, you want to play
time also
best
is
of
a
the
big
best.
factor. Yeah.
Time, absolutely. So I finished the game. I liked it. I'm not like a 9 or a 10. I personally ended around a 7.5. A lot of people didn't like that score I gave it, but that's still a very good game to me. They fixed the issues. I had a lot of issues on my Xbox and PC.
See, I didn't.
And then the patch came out and I got all my dialogue back. So I'm just happy that in this instance, like, Metacritic is getting kind of punched in the mouth here.
Yeah.
We are doing all the heavy lifting. We saw a tweet from Aaron Greenberg saying, like, congrats to squanchgames and whatnot for the success. And I'm just so happy that it's getting like sales, because this is what happens. We've heard this over and over and over again. Does it happen every time? No, but it's definitely a pattern when it hits Game Pass that it sells everywhere else, because we're talking about it, because it's in the ether. It's part of the zeitgeist. So I think Game Pass games just automatically sell better.
They absolutely do.
Yep.
I see. There's a lot of chatter in the chat saying one particular saying, "Oh no, I've been seeing advertisements on YouTube and Twitter."
Mm-hmm. Okay,
good on you. I haven't,
which is weird because we live in this. This is all we do. Dude, we should be seeing it, right?
Look,
I have an explanation for it.
Okay, you know what? We'll grab. You know what? Let's grab. You know what, Dave? We'll come to you in a microsecond, brother. Fuzzy,
cool.
Look, you made mention of it. This isn't a pile on the rabbit kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
You know, I think that we owe it to the listeners, and we owe it to ourselves as content creators, that when we feel that there is an issue, there is a way to critique it, discuss it, and not make it an issue or a fake issue. What is your quote unquote theory?
Well, some of it comes from what I used to do with the company I used to work for as far as marketing is concerned. There's something called remarketing. And if you're logged into your typical account, companies that don't do remarketing, once you're tagged as a fan or a customer of theirs, you no longer will see their ads if they don't do remarketing, because they already know they have you. So for a lot of us that are on YouTube or on certain forums and we don't see anything Xbox, it's because they don't do that technique of remarketing. So you won't see those ads. You won't be constantly bombarded with those things. Now, some people get annoyed by that. Others, like for gaming, I'm more of the nature of where I would prefer that they do the remarketing aspect. But there are other things, like if you shop at Lowe's as opposed to Home Depot, they do remarketing. So everywhere you go, hey, you just bought that drill. Hey, let's advertise more drills to you. Oh, you just bought that appliance. Let's advertise more appliances that you already own and that we know you bought from us. But we're going to bombard you everywhere you go, and it gets it can be a little bit frustrating. But that's one of those situations where if you log into your YouTube or Google account, you won't see the ads as often before you click a video. But if you do it as not signed in, you will probably see a lot more Xbox advertisements. Or when you go to different forums or websites like IGN and so forth, you'll probably, like if you're not already logged into your Google account or your Bing account, depending on which browser you're using, you'll start to see a difference in the ads that you'll see when you're not signed in versus when you're signed in. So some of it's that remarketing aspect. The other thing when it comes to advertising with Xbox, at least from what I can kind of see from the outside looking in, Sony tends to use outside marketing. Like they have an in-house team, but a lot of the stuff that you'll see where it's tied in with the Super Bowl or, you know, the NBA playoffs or, you know, a subway train in New York or the subway signs in the UK, a a lot of that's usually outside advertising groups that they pay a decent amount of money to, that are able to look at the target audience without the same blinders. And that's not a knock at the internal team over at Xbox. Like they do great as far as their social media interaction with
Yeah,
the
social media.
player base.
Listen, I take nothing away from the social media team.
Mhm.
They have been on it. There's been a change specifically in 2022 where
Mhm.
they're always in the quote unquote zeitgeist
Yeah.
of the conversation. I take nothing away. This isn't dump on Microsoft. They haven't
Oh yeah.
failed. They just need to be better. And you know what? Maybe because listen, folks, we know what Game Pass is. I can tell you right
Mhm.
now, if I said Xbox Game Pass to somebody who's not a quote unquote diehard gamer, like Game Pass, what
They're
are you
like, what's
talking
that?
about? Yeah,
And part of that, it almost seems like, and like I said, it's not a knock to the internal team over at Xbox, but sometimes I wish they would go to outside sources, because when you're that ingrained in, what gamers want and what your fans like and things, sometimes it puts blinders on, so you don't see other potential out or target audiences that you can reach. And usually an
yes.
outside marketing group is able to take a step back, because they may not be as familiar with a lot of the Xbox terms. Like you said, a lot of us that are in the know are familiar with Game Pass, but like you said, if you ask anybody on the street, chances are they're going to not know about Game Pass. So
Right.
sometimes going to that outside source will help them, but I think they're doing a good job as far as the interaction aspect. That's where they're strong. But one thing I would say on like forums, websites, YouTube, and other things where commercials and ads are shown, I really think they need to possibly reconsider the remarketing aspect, because, like you said, we don't see the ads. Chances are, if anybody has an Xbox and may have made a purchase through a browser at one point, they're probably not seeing any ads or being hit with anything that is
You want to know
relevant to
something
them
that's
for that.
bonkers, guys?
What's that?
This morning, turn on the TV just to get the news. What pops up on the left hand side that's been there for 3 weeks, folks? God of War.
Hmm.
On my Samsung TV. Soon as I turn it on, as you know, when the browser comes up, tells you all your stuff, your Disney Plus, everything else. Left hand side, God of War Ragnarok trailer's playing. Get it right now, PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
Like right there. Now I understand High on Life is not God of War. I'm not a banana head. Okay, two different genres, two different games, two different consoles, but they're both exclusives. I would love, especially on the Samsung TVs, where Microsoft has a partnership, folks. The minute this TV comes on, a Game Pass ad should be playing. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know how much it's going to cost. I don't have a marketing degree, but I can tell you that Sony's spending the money. They're selling God of War through Samsung on my TV, and I bought it already. I already have it. I'm in the bag,
Yeah.
but they still show it to me.
That's part of that remarketing. Sony is strong with remarketing. They will have like a window, like up to 2 months prior to a game coming out, and at least 2 to 3 months after the game comes out. You will be hit or bombarded with that remarketing aspect for about that period of time. And I
Yeah,
think the way they look at it is,
30 to 90 days afterwards, just
yeah.
shoving it down your throat. Yeah.
And I think it's a lot of times because they know other people in the household may watch the TV, but may not have played on the game system that may be in the house. Or maybe you have the game system. It knows you have the game system because you've watched their state of play or something like that. That stuff will continue to kind of remind you, hey, by the way, this game is out now. Hey, the game is out, it's out now, and hey, there's DLC for it, or hey, it's on sale, or check out a lot of our top 10 games for the year, or this was a nominee for the game of the year, type of thing. So they're strong with remarketing. If they know that you have even the slightest interest in anything Sony or PlayStation, you're going to get hit with reminder ads. And it like I said, in some cases it's great. And in gaming, I think it's a no-brainer. It usually probably works 99.9% of the time. But outside of gaming, sometimes it can be a little frustrating if you shop at one particular hardware store or shop at one particular furniture store, and it's like, wait, I just bought the sofa. I don't need to see more sofas because I already have the
Mhm.
sofa I want, type of thing. So it's kind of a balance, a give or take thing. But in any regard, I think Xbox needs to possibly take a look at the remarketing aspect. And on occasion, but not always, looking at an outside group just for maybe a campaign or two, whether it be a particular game or a particular Game Pass, the campaign that they run for a short period of time. Like me personally, the whole, was it good luck, have fun? It doesn't feel as good, and me putting my
I
marketing
was
cap
more
on.
confused with that than I was
I was too.
invigorated by it. I'm sorry. I was like, what does that hashtag mean? Because I'm old, folks. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I get it. I'm in it. I'm in the
Mhm.
trenches fighting with you. And I was like, what? I had to look that up.
I did too.
I had to look what that meant. I mean, that's
I
not
didn't know
good
what the hell it
marketing.
was.
I'm an Xbox guy, ladies and gentlemen. And I was like, wait a second. Let me Google.
Yeah. No, me
Oh,
putting
that's
on
what that means. I don't like it. I don't
me,
like it.
me putting my marketing hat on, I was like, and I every now and then when I see that post, I'll
I'm
be like,
sorry.
hashtag achieve more, because you can tie in achievements. Maybe if they ever do a rework of
Look at
achievements, adds a
you.
few
They
things.
should hire this man. Xbox, if you're listening, and I know that you are, hire this man, please.
But
Achieve
that's
more. I mean,
yeah,
look
but
at this. This
that's the
is
thing where an outside group sometimes, or outside eyes, will kind of see something that, with them always being focused on their current customer base, they may not see. So that's just my 2 cents, and half experience in a different market, more so automotive, but some of the stuff carries over.
well. Listen, thank you for the schooling. I definitely appreciate that. But Web Dave, our money man of the panel. By the way, if you're wondering, this is the new DLC. This is one of the new characters from Vampire Survivors. I got to tell you, folks, this game is it's getting close to potentially edging Elden Ring, man. I mean, I
Oh,
cannot
boy.
stop playing this game, and I use it on my Logitech G Cloud when I'm sitting on the couch watching some holiday stuff with the missus, and I'm doing two things at once. And because you only need one finger to play it, it runs fantastic on there as well. Mark, Dave, what are your thoughts on, first of all, HighOnLife? People are buying it.
Yeah.
People are buying it because we're talking about it. I've been DM'd a dozen plus times. Hey, Boom, thanks for the recommending HighOnLife. It wasn't on my radar. Now I'm loving it. I'm 10 hours, 11 hours, 15 hours in. The game is fantastic. I'm 15
Oh, yeah.
hours in. I think I've beaten the first 5. I've hunted and caught the first 5 bounties. I got a ton of new equipment. I have 4 guns now. They're all unique in their own way. One is kind of like a needler that from Halo, which is pretty freaking dope. First of all, top 10 selling games in Game Pass. That's big. But are we on to something here about the marketing potentially needing a bit of a shot in the arm?
Definitely. Microsoft and marketing could always be better when it comes to game releases. Like everybody has said, you pointed it out that you see the games from Sony and from other on your TV. I do have to ask you in that, do you have the app on your TV? Is your TV new
No,
enough that
no. I don't have. I don't know. My TV's 2019, so
gotcha.
I don't have the 2022 or the 2021 TV that has the app.
Cool. Fair. Just curious because I was wondering what you thought about it if you did have it.
No, I
The
want to try it, but yeah, maybe next year for the new TV.
there you go. It's there's a lot of potential out there, and I do think that there needs to be a greater marketing reach, and like definitely like Fuzzy was saying, there's when I'm watching YouTube channels, like even my favorite YouTubers, there'll be localized ads that come up that are like from my hometown
Yep.
that pop up. So I mean, it's possible that they can go in, and maybe for some reason they don't want to advertise quite that way. I don't know, but I think that they should do more of that. At least at this time of the year when they're talking about selling consoles and getting to get the things out there. I'm praying that once the family plan is available in the United States and further, that or becomes widely available, that is something that they really go all out in market, because I believe that will actually not only improve their numbers, but actually make them, go straight to the top of the gaming industry as far as the value and the quality that they can offer for for the price. There's a lot of people out there, like you said, that don't know anything about it, and for people that like, I grew up, playing Atari, and have been in gaming for a long time. But there's new people into gaming that weren't into gaming before, and all they've grown up knowing is PlayStation. When you're talking video games to them, you know, well, you have that PlayStation, and that to them is like a gaming console. They don't consider it
Yep.
gaming.
Yep. Yep.
It's
Yep.
it's PlayStation is gaming, and that's Microsoft has to do a lot of work to get that out of there. To get
Hey,
that.
you know what, Dave? Real quick, breaking news. We
Yes.
we have a super chat in here, and let me just find it real quick. I know that we actually have two super chats. First of all, the first one of the day comes from Jordan TJ, who drops a very generous $10 super chat. First one of the day. Thank you as always, Jordan TJ. He says, "Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, Boom and Panel. Love the podcast. Believe it or not, this was the first podcast I found. Tomorrow's my birthday. This is going to be a fire show. Congratulations." Happy birthday, Merry Christmas to you and yours as well. And Space Dovikin just dropped the breaking news of apparently according to Benji Sales, good friend of this program. We got to get Benji back on here. Great numbers guy when it comes to the marketing and messaging of the publishers in gaming. Guess what, folks? Confirmed by not only Benji Sales, but we have a quote from good old Clobriel, where HighOnLife is the number one most popular game on Xbox Game Pass right now, surpassing Minecraft at number 2 and Forza
Wow.
Horizon 5 at number 3. Congratulations to squanchgames. See, this is
That's
what I love to
crazy.
see. This is what I am talking about. They got curb stomped, destroyed by fanboy reviewers who, like I said, folks, you can take me for my word. I'm not saying this for clicks or likes or anything else. If this would have been a PlayStation 5 exclusive, every mother effer would have given this game a 9. I am telling you, that is what happened. This is another perfect example of a game, because it's an Xbox exclusive and it's going to stay that way, from what we understand, gets short end of stick from gaming media. I'm sorry, I'm not going to make a topic about it, but if you think I'm lying, just go look at just take a broader picture of what goes on. If this, I'm telling you, if the shoe was on the other foot, they would have been praising this game to be as great as Rick and Morty. Oh my God. And because it's an Xbox exclusive, the hate and the bias comes out. But
Look at
Dave,
Sunset
please continue.
Overdrive. That it's this. It's
Yep.
almost like a repeat of history.
Yeah.
Which is what one of the reasons why I love this game so much, because it gives me very, very, very deep Insomniac feels for the weapons and the humor and the color palette that's in front of you. Everywhere you go, it's just gorgeous to look at. But Dave, please continue, sir.
Well, with this type of accolades that you're saying it's getting now, that it's that it's number one on Game Pass, this is where Microsoft needs to be like, okay, cool. So what we got coming up this weekend? Let's get it advertised on whatever
Yes.
football game is coming out, whatever big sporting events coming out. Let's get the 5 o'clock edition of
World
Sports Center.
Cup, NFL.
Yep.
Yeah. Any of those, you just a quick 15-second spot talking about available on GameStop or Game Pass, the biggest game of the year, and if you're a big Rick and Morty fan, and then share some clips and some smart remarks that can be toned or whatever for all audiences, but still get across the humor. That would be the way to do it and to push it. Available now on Game Pass. If you have Game Pass, it's included. Don't have a console? Sign up for Game Pass. Play on your PC. Play on your phone. Play on your tablet. Whatever it takes. They'll just little something like that to just bury, and then people are going to be like, "Oh, that game looks awesome. Where can I find this? Let's get that." And then little Timmy sees it, Mom, I want Game Pass for Christmas. So that's what they need to do. They really need to push harder in the marketing. Fuzzy was all over it. Fuzzy should apply for the head of marketing at Xbox. I think he should. Him and Greenberg ought to get together and have a little conversation. I'm serious,
No,
man.
I mean,
I'm telling
listen,
you.
look, at the end of the day, guys,
Yeah.
like I said, we're Xbox fans. This is not the first 40 minutes of the show being D-bags about the situation. I want to see Microsoft do better. I think I'm not owed anything. We want to see them do better, and I think that if you are a fan and there's something that's not meeting your expectations, you owe it to yourself to say something about it. That's what we took the time to talk about. But I do want to move on to one of the bigger topics, and this is one that comes the way of us from a very good friend of mine. I like to consider him like an extension of my family, and that, of course, is Miles Dompierre, who was on Thursday's X Vlog Live. If you don't know who Miles Dompierre, he works for Windows Central. He has recently taken the reins of his Xbox Chatter Days podcast. Now, that was originally attached to Windows Central Gaming. He has now become the ownership of that. He has ownership of that property. He is now a part of his YouTube channel. Last Thursday, and I'm so proud to say this, I love when this happens. He hit 1,000, his first 1K live on the air, thanks to you folks. And obviously, if you didn't know, while this show of his that he created was a part of Windows Central Gaming, it was at 25,000 subscribers. So he had to kind of hit the restart button, and he crossed his first 1,000 live on the air, which was awesome. But you know what? Again, congratulations to him for that. I want to talk about a story that he wrote that I have in front of me that I pulled from Windows Central Gaming. And he asked a question, and I kind of want to talk about this because not only is it true, but I don't know what the solution is here, folks. He asks, why are major third-party games consistently skipping Xbox? And he says Xbox has a complicated third-party game problem that will be tough for Microsoft to solve. And he goes on to say, and this is the opening paragraph, folks. I want to read verbatim from his story. He says, in the last decade, the video game industry has grown staggeringly. Staggeringly. In 2012, video games generated an estimated $63.3 billion in sales worldwide, and current projections predict for 2022, it will close out. Check this out, at $170 billion. That's the entire industry. That is, well, I'm no mathematician, folks. That's more than 3 times the amount. And he says, with the increased revenue potential comes amplified investments from prominent industry figures. PlayStation, Nintendo, and Xbox want a bigger slice of the tremendous lucrative pie. Now, why I decided to talk about this today is because, well, Xbox for Koreans is a Twitter account, which I follow, and I believe that they follow me. And they posted something that enraged me, disappointed me, and made me scratch my head. Now, Final Fantasy, understandably, is not everyone's bag, especially the new Final Fantasies. Final Fantasy 15, to me, was an abomination. I bought it. I bought the most expensive edition. I played it. And when I was traveling with those dudes in the car, I was like, what the F am I doing? What am I playing? I hated that game. It's like one of the few games that I bought that I loathed, and I couldn't get a refund on it. So I was stuck with it. Final Fantasy VII for me, like I said, I'm old. I'm an OG, as the kids like to say. Well, it was announced by Square Enix. Well, Square Enix, they either must hate Microsoft, or I don't know what the problem is. They announced something called the Final Fantasy Pixel Remastered Collection. And if you are an OG like me, you're salivating at the mouth, because what they have done, folks, is they have went back and remade Final Fantasy 1 through 6, coming in spring of 2023. You can buy the games in piecemeal, or you can buy them all in one collection. There is even a $250 collector's edition coming that has all of the music on vinyl. Oh my God, it looks so good. Now, I'm not getting that because we're saving for a place, so I'm going to just spend the $74 and get all the games, and I'm buying it on the Switch. Now, you might be saying, Boom, how could you support Square Enix? You're giving them what they want. I mean, Final Fantasy 1 through 6, guys, I buy
You
a
don't
lot
have a
of stuff on my,
choice.
yeah, I
You got
buy
to
a
play
lot
it
of stuff.
somewhere.
I'll play it on my Switch and enjoy it just as much. I don't need the achievements. Achievements are nice and everything, but I'm buying it for the games. I'm an OG. Final Fantasy 1 through 6, my God. Redone, please. But they're skipping Xbox again. I mean, my God. Octopath Traveler comes out first on PlayStation, first on Switch, does okay. Comes to Xbox Game Pass, and what does it do? It sells through the roof. Octopath Traveler 2, yes. Not coming to Xbox. Unbelievable. I'm laughing, but I'm crying inside because I don't understand this. And this collection, like I said, I understand I'm a part of the problem. You say, Boom, you're a sellout. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to not get it for the Switch because I double dip all the time. I have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the Switch. I have it on the Xbox. I have a lot of games on the Switch and Xbox because I love my Switch so much. So I'm going to get it there. Will it come to Xbox? If it comes to Xbox, guess what? They'll get my money again because I'm a stand for old school Final Fantasy stuff. The problem here is obviously, and I'm going to go Retri, who's a special guest here. I don't know how to fix this problem, Retri. I honestly don't. I think how you fix this
This is a big one.
problem is eventually Microsoft is going to become such a juggernaut. You know, when next year, when you start to see all of these first, second, and third party games fly onto Game Pass and these amazing indies that are coming, there's going to come a point where the brand is no longer going to be allowed to be ignored by a lot of these, especially in the Japanese region, which I think they're making good headway. This hurts. How this is not coming to Xbox? It almost seems spiteful. I'm sorry. That's what it seems like to me. How do we fix this problem? And was Miles in his right to write the story?
Well, yeah, of course. The thing is, it's so hard to get solid information on why this is happening. I mean, Jez talked about it too. He's been trying to get insider information for years, and he can't like break the mold of what the heck is really going on, because I don't think anyone in the East wants to fess up or tell the truth. It could be, when it comes to JRPGs, specifically Square Enix, it could be as simple as they're just being money hatted by Sony.
I was going to actually
Square
say
doesn't have
that,
a
but I didn't want to.
chance.
I didn't want to. It was in it was in here. It's right here. It was sitting right here. And I'm like, if
I'll
say
say
that, people are going to be
I
like,
could
oh,
be
Boom.
wrong. We don't.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not. Maybe it's Square, but
But it is Sony,
we know
though. They are
Sony is
dirty like
exactly.
that, though.
They're not beyond doing that sort of thing. So that is what I believe is happening specifically on that side. But we are getting a lot more support lately. I mean, we got Sega with Yakuza, Sonic, Persona, Lost Judgment, Bandai Namco, Scarlet Nexus, Tales of Arise, One Piece, Blue Protocol, Kojima, Wolong. We just talked about Wolong. We got Team Ninja going into Game Pass. That's a huge deal. Here's a bigger one. Capcom, Resident Evil, Monster Hunter Rise, guys.
Yeah, the
that
first month of the year.
Mic drop moment.
It
so
is.
Yeah, I think the solution is a very hard one. I think it's an uphill battle for an American company to do this. And my opinion is you take Tango Gameworks and you extend that studio out to become its own Eastern division.
You absolutely should. Yeah, 100%.
You take, Shinji Mikami, the founder, make him the CEO of the Eastern Division of Japan for Xbox, and you make that studio that's not a big studio, you expand it out, and you keep expanding till that studio becomes another studio in Japan and another studio, and you do that organic Sony growth that all these guys on Twitter constantly talk about. I think that's the real way to do it, because you already have an in Japan. That's your in, and a guy who's respected, heavily respected in that area. Let him take over and be your voice for Xbox there. I think.
Well, I will say
probably
this:
the best way.
shout out to Sarah Bond, who, you know, obviously she does a lot of work behind the scenes, and she had talked about on many of the shows they had this year that they're working with 200 developers in the Asian market, not just Japan. I'm sure that there's China. I'm sure that there's Korea. I'm sure that there are several, because they're trying to extend their arm into the region where they notoriously have failed for years, and the Series S is helping them do that, which we've seen I don't know if anyone's feeds are filled with Asian gamers. Mine always is, and I love reading. Some of them are following me, which is crazy, because obviously there's a language barrier. And I love the fact that they're always posting, look, I got my Series S, I'm playing this game. I think the push into that region, into a market that's been very, very hard for Microsoft, has been really, really good, working well for them.
Yeah, I mean, you put your money where your mouth is. Excuse me. They're finally starting to do what they've been saying they were going to do forever. So I applaud actually what Sarah is and Phil, all those trips to Japan. It's clearly paying off. We're starting to really see it. All the stuff I just named, that's a lot of games. So I think the ship is starting to turn in a good direction. But when it comes to Square, I think it's a no-go. I don't count on it, and I wouldn't count on it.
You know, it's interesting, Dave. I cite Dave as our money guy. He loves talking numbers. He's a numbers dude, folks. One of his passions. Dave, you know, it's pretty interesting and pretty ridiculous when you consider that just a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, Square Enix was out there in these Twitter streets talking about how they have to team up with people, that they could no longer afford to make these AAA games. Right? It's too much for them. And then you sit back and you say, well, what are your thoughts on that? Is it not ridiculous?
It definitely is, because they're leaving money on the table, a lot of it on the table. And these games that they're releasing, this package of games, is not they're not complex. So it should be extremely easy to port them over to the Xbox. For sure. And something like this in Game Pass would have been fantastic. You know, like I said, it's not for everybody, but there is enough people out there that would enjoy playing this, and they would have seen a lot of rewards for it. I mean, Square's come out and said themselves that Outriders was a huge success because of
it was the Game Pass.
The Game Pass, exactly. And that's when it became most popular and most profitable for them, was when it came out for that. So you're sitting there thinking, well, why wouldn't they want to do more? Well, they have a lot of ties to other developers and other, console manufacturers. And that's why a lot of that stuff kind of seems to be stagnant. I don't think they want to step on other toes, as it were. But at some point, they might just come calling to Microsoft, and there may be some deals in the work, like you had said, that they kind of reached out verbally that they were wanting to make some other big games and stuff, and that they were going to have some kind of cooperation to do that. Well, Microsoft has a lot of money available, cash on hand, where they can actually make those kind of deals, as long as they get the kind of exclusivity that Sony is getting from them. If it's just a 3-month deal, a 1-year deal, I don't think it's worth it.
That I agree.
if they're
I
able
agree.
to
3-month deals are ridiculous. I'm sorry.
if they're able to make a 2-year deal like their competitor is doing, then I think it would be worth it. And Square Enix has Dragon Warrior series that's in Japan is bigger than a Final Fantasy series is in the States. So it's just there's a lot of opportunity out there for them to make some money, and for me, I would think that this would be easy money because I guarantee you Microsoft would love to have these games available
Sure
on
they
their
would.
platform, and on Game Pass, they most definitely would have worked out something. But most likely, there's some kind of how
Oh,
PlayStation
there's something in the
is.
contract with Sony. There's no
Oh,
doubt about it.
sure, exactly.
100%.
It's not
100%.
you can't make it available on Game Pass for
Yep.
so long, or blah blah blah. All these deals that we really coming to find out about how. Which I mean, I know it is business, but it's kind of dirty business.
Yeah.
Especially when with this acquisition thing going around, to where oh, we don't want them to do this, we don't want them to do this. When Sony's basically saying we don't want them to do what we do. God forbid they do what we do.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I definitely think it's a missed opportunity for Square, and most likely it'll be something that maybe a year from now. Oh, hey, look what's available now, because it was a little bit before Octopath Traveler became available, but when it did, they said the numbers and the sales numbers went up for it considerably.
Oh, they absolutely did. Square Enix actually said that. You're correct in saying so. When it jumped onto Xbox Game Pass, the sales went bonkers. Look, I'll say this before we bring Fuzzy into the conversation. I know everyone's like Game Pass, Game Pass, Game Pass, and of course, again, I love Game Pass. Game Pass as a retired person whose money is limited. Game Pass for me is a big part of the gaming aspect. For something like Final Fantasy remake, Final Fantasy the 1 through 6 repixeled as they're calling it. Dude, you don't got to put that in Game Pass for me. I'm day one. I'm a day one buyer for that. You don't even have to put it in the game. Now, if it goes in the Game Pass, that's awesome. But I'm probably still buying it just in case it ever left, because why not? I love Final Fantasy, especially the old school joints. I played them all on my NES. I would play them again easily, and probably play through them in concession. Because, like I said, not every Final Fantasy is for everyone, especially the new one. And shout out to Abdel114. He says, I bought Crisis Core and finished it. The game literally ends with the opening cutscene for Final Fantasy VII Remake that says, continue the journey in Final Fantasy VII, a slap in the face of Xbox players. No, I laughed too. I was on mute. You didn't hear me. Is that not ridiculous, folks? See, this is what I'm talking about.
Well, that's one of the games they cite, though. Boom, is 6% on Xbox, double and more, like double on Switch, and then higher, way higher on PS4 and PS5. So there are some stats that kind of back up Xbox players don't support these games, but it's also cherry picked stuff. Yeah. It's not every game. The Yakuza, when Yakuza came out, that went crazy.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, what are you going to do? Real quick, before we bring Fuzzy into the conversation, Jacob Novik drops several super chats. So thank you so much for that, Jacob. The first one of $10 says, speaking about Sunset Overdrive, now when you bring it up, Fuzzy, Insomniac owns the IP, like they said, but can't do anything with the first game on PlayStation legally because Microsoft owns the publishing rights. That is absolutely correct. They do own the publishing rights, so you'll never get a Sunset Overdrive 1 unless Microsoft agrees to it. And the way that Sony has been playing ball recently, I don't think they'll ever work together again. I think that the bridge has been burnt, and I think Sony has painted themselves into a corner, not only with Microsoft, but the entire industry. I think that they really did the entire industry a horrible disservice, going out there and going, with this whole ABK deal. It's sickening what they've done, to be honest with you. And I'm sure that they've been told this by their peers, and I think that they know this. Jacob Novik drops an additional $5 super chat. Says, I heard a certain thing in 2021 when Xbox acquired Bethesda, Square wanted to in a way protect the RPGs, whatever that means. I didn't see that. Square Enix is probably going to eventually be purchased by Sony. I don't know if that happens now with all the regulatory shenanigans going on, thanks to Sony's stupidity. So they might have hurt themselves. But if there is going to be someone that's going to buy them, it's probably going to be um, uh, PlayStation, at least in my opinion. Fuzzy, let's get you in on the conversation here. I mean, what does Xbox need to do to have them be a part of every conversation the way Nintendo and Sony is? Is that just come out and deliver big games? Is Microsoft going to be the platform that eventually people are not going to be able to ignore?
I think you're onto something as far as the platform that they're not going to be able to ignore, because they're a lot closer this generation as far as numbers in the market. So it's eventually going to get to a point where it's either going to cost Sony more money, or hopefully, and I was trying to think of the best way to put this, but there's no better way to say it than they're going to have a lot of these publishers outside of, let's say the US per se, are going to have to grow some cojones to kind of tell Sony, look, we can't accept whatever this, keep away money. So we're going to have to you're either going to have to double that number, or we're just going to wind up putting it on that other platform, because it eventually gets to a point where if Game Pass continues to grow, and we were just talking about a game that's doing extremely well within the Xbox platform because of it, a lot of devs are going to start looking over at that side of the fence and say, hey, I think we're going to have to try something like, and Square's already tried with like the Octopath Traveler before, where it was like only on Nintendo, and then it came over to Xbox, and it was on Game Pass, and then you have Crisis Core, which it is a slap in the face. It's like the game that would be the next step, which would be an easy sell for them at that point. They don't even have on that platform. And to speak about the cherry pick numbers, it's almost like that bad data discussion where they're definitely cherry picking numbers. The funny thing is, if you're used to playing a certain type of game on a certain platform, it's hard to overcome that, especially if there's no chance of that game, or it doesn't seem like there's any chance of similar games already coming over. So if for whatever reason, let's just say, looking at PlayStation, yes, they have Gran Turismo. That's what was once considered the ultimate, driving simulator. That's the only real racing game other than third platform that they have. They just have that one, and it takes them 7 to 10 years in between each title. After a while, people start to say or start to look other places for racing games. Me being a PlayStation cat before, that's the main reason why I left that platform as my primary, because I didn't feel like buying Gran Turismo 6 after the PlayStation 4 came out. Why would you put a game on the PS3 when your PS4 is your newest console? But that's a whole nother discussion. But as far as skipping games on Xbox, I think it's going to be a matter of time where the publishers are going to realize that PlayStation isn't the best option for them. Case in point, Square Enix saying that they need to find other methods of making more money, because apparently, I guess the deals that they made are so bad that it's kind of pushing them towards bankruptcy or less profitable financial situations. But the other aspect of it is they're going to have to start testing things out, because just as a business reaches a certain plateau of gamers or your customer base, to expand that any further, they're going to have to look at other platforms. What Sarabon and Phil are doing over in Japan and neighboring regions, they need to continue to do, and if anything, possibly try and loosen up the purse strings a little bit more, so they can, not to say that they have to play a different role in saying, oh, well, we'll do, timed exclusive for a year. But I think there's some games that they should cherry pick and choose to do so. Like one that's coming from China, which is the oh my god, I forget the name of it now, but it's Wolong. I think it's no.
Yes,
Wolong
no,
is
no, no. I know what you're talking about.
it's
It
the
was
Wukong black.
Oh, that looks so good.
Yeah,
that looks
that's
fantastic.
one. If I was Phil or Sarah, I'm almost going to write a blank check to those guys.
Yep.
It's that type of game you need to make exclusive for a year. One, to draw people to your
I
platform.
think that's a single guy too, isn't it? Am I crazy?
Yeah,
or is
I
that
think they've built the team up a little bit, but it was like a
Okay.
single guy started it, and then I think he
Right.
recruited like 16 plus like highly talented devs from other studios in that region, and I think they've gotten additional funding. But I would say that's almost like the perfect title to at least experiment with like a 1 year exclusive, because there's so much attention and eyes awaiting that. It's like the highest wish list, or one of the like in top 10 for the wish list on Steam and things like that. So that would be a perfect example. It's like,
You know,
what?
you know what? I love what you're putting down here, Fuzzy. I like this blank check thing because, first of all, you know, when we found out that Wulong was coming, and it was coming into Xbox Game Pass, most of us, including myself as a diehard Xbox dude, was like, I'm sorry, excuse me, what? Right? The Black Myth Wukong, it's called. That's that game. I've watched that like 30-minute video probably about 20 times, and it looks astoundingly good. I love this theory. Take a blank check, fly out to China, and say, when can you have this game? And let's, because I know it's been announced for PlayStation, I know it's been announced for Xbox. We know that it's coming for both.
Yeah.
But this is one of those moments that you take a page right out of Sony's book and you say, this is going to move mountains, this game. This has got to be an exclusive. Lock that mother effer up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, I know that Phil doesn't necessarily like that strategy, but there are certain times where you have to use your opponent's strategy to send a
Against them.
message.
Yes.
Exactly.
Because otherwise they're going to continue to kind of push these, handshake backdoor meeting agreements with companies like Square or Capcom to get things that you're not allowed to have. And I think that loyalty that they have is primarily because of how Sony operates with those developers. And every now and then you got to do the same thing. You have to wine and dine these devs at dinner or things along those lines. Much like we hear the story of how the guy that was the main distribution for Nintendo in Europe came to kind of be that particular distribution hub. You have to play the same game every once in a while at least, and then maybe that will make Sony realize, all right, maybe we should stop doing this because we're going to start losing out, or there's going to be doors closed to our opportunities because these guys have a much bigger budget. They're able to have more people fly out to a lot of these devs simultaneously and close down deals that we would have normally have had in our pocket to begin with. So I think every now and then borrowing your opponent's strategy would help, but they got to try something along those lines. But what they're doing now is phenomenal, because we're getting a lot more games that would have never made it, like Persona. Like, how long have we been asking?
First of all, how well did Persona 5 sell?
Oh yeah,
on Xbox. Persona 5 Royale is a game that I'm gonna play because I played Persona 5. I bought the collector's edition, and I wanted to get in on it. It's like, what is this Persona stuff? Everyone's talking about it. I got to get in there. And I said it before. I've told the story. After my 4th train ride, I'm like, yeah, this is just not for me. This is just not for me.
Yeah.
But apparently Royale is much different. So I have it downloaded and I'm ready to rock and roll. If it leaves Game Pass, I'm going to buy it because I want to play the game. But if anyone is an old school WCW fan, wrestling, right? Like, you remember a guy named Kabuki? Remember that guy used to have like green face paint, and he would like he would like spit this green stuff out at you when the ref wasn't looking. That's what Microsoft needs to do to Sony right now. They need to blow the green stuff into the eyes while the ref isn't looking. And I'm sorry, sometimes you got to play dirty.
Yeah.
And this is one of those games, Fuzzy, that not only has buzz for days, weeks, months. People are still talking about this demo that's a year old. If people on the Xbox and even outside, the outside community, which of course you want to bring in new people, people that love Souls games that usually play Demon Souls, right? If they found out that Black Myth Wukong was coming to the Xbox exclusively, they'd run out and buy a Series S.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They would go play on their new TVs. They would download it on their PCs or whatever. That's one of those games that you, like you said, I love with the way you put it. Just take a blank check and say, what do you want? We want this exclusive. And again, I know Phil Spencer, which by the way, we're going to talk about right now because that man just made the top 50 of people for Bloomberg.com, the top 50, the people who define the global business in 2022. Guess what? Who's number 11? It's Phil Spencer, head of Microsoft Gaming. We're going to get to that in a second, but please continue, Fuzzy.
Yeah, I think if Xbox continues the path that they're on, things will kind of right themselves in the end. This ABK deal looming over as far as like their quiet or more timid stance that they're taking is so frustrating. But hopefully that all resolves itself here within the early part of next year. But yeah, I think if going forward, if these devs want to make more money, like Square is crying about now, I think they need to at least look at who's coming up the ranks as far as selling hardware and stuff like that. Like it's no longer 4-1, it's more like 1.5-1 type of thing.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
It's more of a neck and neck. So hopefully that will convince a lot of these publishers and devs that normally skip Xbox to reconsider. And that's all I got.
No, I mean, good stuff. We have a couple super chats in here. I want to grab real quick before we move on to the Phil Spencer achievement. And it's big. It's a big achievement, folks. Jacob Novik drops an additional. So no, hold on a second. Let me see. Where is it? No, yeah, he did drop an additional $5 super chat, but the first one comes to us from Space Dovigan, who drops an additional $5 super chat and says, "I think that's why Sony is supporting PlayStation 4 all the way through 2024. Possibly that PlayStation 4 market share is very powerful for them. Once it's gone, it's another game." Indeed, I absolutely agree. I mean, folks, they sold 117 million PlayStation 4s. Now, whether that be double, triple, and quadruple dips like me and my brother, I've owned 4 PlayStation 4s. So I think a lot of those are resales for customers already. But you can't argue that once those sales don't exist. I mean, I don't know if anyone saw the story yesterday. Sony says they want to, and again, I don't know if they're going to be able to do it, sell 30 million PlayStation 5s in 2023. Oh, and PS, by the way, they are going to abandon the original PlayStation 5 SKU. They're going to get rid of it, which I don't know what that means, but I mean, obviously, I would imagine a Slim is around the corner or some sort of a reboot, if you will. Paulie Baba, hey, what's up, brother? How's everything? He drops a $5 super chat and says, "If Microsoft can't buy studios while the ABK deal is pending, just money had games for exclusivity like PlayStation, time to fight fire with fire." And
Preach.
indeed, that's a great point. Yes, you can't buy other studios because you're locked into whenever this deal does or doesn't get done. But yeah, you can money had games, and no one's going to challenge you on that because that's what Sony is doing. And they're doing it to great success. I'm sorry that they just continue to money had games. I mean, I don't know. Did anyone see that Hogwarts tweet? Boasting the exclusive mission for PlayStation.
Yeah.
I mean, that just sucks. Sorry, just sucks. But let's get into the final topic of the day. Now, again, this may not be the one that rings the bell for you personally, but listen, I talk highly about Phil Spencer because the guy is a rock star. But you know what he is more than anything? He's a gamer just like us. The guy has over what was it? Was reported 200 hours in Vampire Survivors, which is probably 10 times that, even more now. He probably has 300 or 400 hours in because he's a gamer. Well, Bloomberg.com ran a story, and it's their annual or the yearly Bloomberg 50, as it's called. And according to the website, it says these are the people who defined global business in 2022. Now, according to the report, which is right in front of me, it was posted on December 14th. And it says, this is our 6th annual look at those in business, politics, science, technology, finance, and entertainment whose accomplishments deserve recognition. And Phil Spencer, ladies and gentlemen, not only falls into the business category, obviously, he is the head of Microsoft Gaming. Folks, in this list, he comes in at number 11 out of the top 50 folks. And wow, that is really, really saying something. I want to go to the chat specifically because Phil Spencer is in the midst of trying to close a $70 billion deal. He's talked about it in jest, where he says he doesn't have real experience in doing so because, well, this is it's a big step for Microsoft. It's the biggest deal they've ever made, and like I said, we're not going to get into the aspects of it. Hopefully, once the holidays are done, early January, as we creep towards mid-January, we are going to hear that the CMA and the EU Commission have taken the criticism from Sony under consideration. They will eventually approve this deal with concessions. They may have their own concessions. Like I said, we've heard different people talk about this, maybe not raising Game Pass for 3 years or 2 or 3 years, keeping it at its current price, which I'm sure that they would agree to. And then it's the fight in Washington, which they're going to win. They're going to eviscerate the FTC, led by Lena Khan, who has been called foolhardy. And that's not by me. I've seen many articles with people saying that this is a fool's errand that she's on to try and win this case when there is no anti-competitiveness at all. It is a waste of millions and millions of taxpayer dollars. And I said, and this is from me, folks. Ultimately, the way that she is conducting herself as the chair, the head of the FTC, is reckless. And I hope that if she does lose, that they remove her from her position, because at this point, it's going to be case number 7 that she has lost. And at this point, does anyone have confidence in the FTC? Because I certainly do not. But let's bring this back. Let's reel this bad boy back in. Retri, Phil Spencer, obviously he is the gaming magistrate, if you will. He's a proper gentleman. Everywhere he goes, he's out there talking about gaming. He's talking about Xbox. But I love when he brings in his personal stories about his daughters and when they were kids, and he'd sit down with them. And when you hear stories that people report that he's played over 200 hours in the game you see on your screen, doesn't that just make you smile? Like,
It does.
He's just one of us, and he's making 6 or 7 figures. I mean, that's freaking awesome. Is this a nice way to round out the year? Now, granted, Microsoft didn't have a good year in first party. I've given them the righteous smoke. I think everyone has. They did deliver on Game Pass, so we can't complain. At least I can't complain. I am inundated with games to play, so I have no complaints there. I know people are like, yeah, boom, but I want the first party. I'm sick of waiting. I'm right there with you. I'm just as sick as you. It's going to come next year. I know we've said that before, but you got to admit, Retri, for Microsoft's Phil Spencer to get this award, it's substantial. He's made the mark in gaming and in business to hit the number 11 spot out of the top 50. That's really saying something. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, in the article, we know Phil is here because he was able to pull together the ABK deal into existence. So he's getting that accolade in global business because of that deal, which I agree with. You can't ignore the biggest deal in gaming history. It's, the numbers are staring you in the face, but I love Phil. I know I give him crap for the third party stuff, and I always will. That's my only knock on Phil. But everything else, I love Phil. We got to remember, without Phil, Xbox is dead. It literally wouldn't exist today, because he talked to Satya about, Satya's like, why should we even keep going? We're not doing that great. Like, sell me on the future of gaming. and Phil sold them on cloud gaming and mobile market and taken it to those 3 billion users. So as an Xbox fan, we literally owe Phil the existence at this point of the console. So my hat goes off to Phil. So thanks for convincing Satya to stick it out. And I think their plan is a very solid one. I think it's very smart. It's future thinking, and I'm all for it. So congrats to Phil for making in the top 50. Well deserved.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, again, this is not the biggest story of the day, folks. It's certainly going to round out the podcast. We had some really, really epic conversations today. I do want to say this, folks. Double Barrel Gaming has had an incredible 2022. We got our Snapchat stats from YouTube the other day, and in the 12 months that they have us in 2022. The channel has surpassed 1 million views just this year, which is staggering considering the size of the channel. We have over, and again, this is a minuscule, I think it's ridiculous. Just tell me the hours, but we have 25.8 million minutes in watch time. That's ridiculous. I see a lot of new faces here, folks. We are 504 away from 12K. Now, of course, I did say this early on that my goal was to hit 12K by the end of the year. The end of the year is in 2 weeks. It's not going to happen. But I would like to get closer to that number, at least be able to look at the number and say, okay, it's 11.5, it's 11.6, maybe 11.7. We'll hit 12K next year. It'll be our first big number. If you're finding the channel for the first time, you're enjoying the content. We do this 5 days a week. My wife and I are produce these shows. There are 5 different shows, 5 different panels, all different opinions, all different handwritten stories that I research, that the missus researches, and we put it together. And we put this 5-day a week streaming, full-time streaming schedule. And like I said, this week, next week are going to be a little different because of the holidays. But if you're finding the channel for the first time and you want to help us grow, please consider subscribing. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. But Dave, let's get your opinion on this.
Yep.
The Mr. Phil Spencer, good friend of the community, great friend of the community, I should say, gets this honorable nod, top 50 for Bloomberg. And Retri really put it a good point. He says, obviously he gets this nod for, trying to close a $70 billion deal, the biggest deal in Microsoft history. But I think it's he's right in saying so, but I think it's a little bit more than that. I think that
Yep.
the way Phil has been out there, and he's been out there talking and educating the public, the way he's on social media, he does a lot of the things that Nintendo and PlayStation representatives or leaders would never do. Right, like he is the head of Microsoft Gaming, and he's out there playing Destiny with the people that love Xbox. Who does that? Not very many. What are your thoughts on that? And him getting this award?
Well deserved, absolutely well deserved. The man is, how can you say it? It's his contribution is a better word, yeah. To gaming today is pretty much unmeasured. He makes the community enjoyable. He makes it friendly. He has worked hard to he is a gamer, and it shows. He gets out there in the community he plays. And then if you listen to my interview with Tim Dog, you'll find out just how cool Phil can be. He talks about him at length in the interview. Excuse me. And it is oh man, the award that he's getting, like you said, is well deserved. But it's not just for what he does for the gaming community, but it's what he does for gaming at large in general. He's pushed boundaries. He's helped get the gaming community together. They worked hard to open up the crossplay. They worked hard to get accessibility for people with disabilities, and he's a champion of those programs. And and when Microsoft was all pretty much kind of washing their hands of gaming, he said, we need to do this, and we can do this, and we can be the best if we work hard at it. And he has proven that, and he's growing that. And their outreach into the other countries, not just Japan, but Korea and numerous other countries that he's reached out to and worked with the developers and programmers and game designers, to give them a place, and independent gamers, to where they can have a place to grow with ID at Xbox. There's just a lot that he's done for the community, and it's good to see that he's getting this acknowledgement, not just from the gaming community, but from the business aspect of it. The ABK deal obviously is big. It's not quite done yet, but then the other deal that he's already, the Bethesda deal he had a big hand in, was quite an accomplishment on its own. And I really just think that when you look back years later, we're just gonna be kind of in awe of things that he's achieved. And he's very humble, as you know, Boom, and very giving, and he listens to the fans. So we'll just say that he's not afraid to get in there, meet people, and in the community, and listen to what they have to say. He wants to know that he doesn't. It's not just I'm Phil, get away from me. It's you know what I mean. He genuinely listens to what you have to say. May not agree with everything, may not be able to do everything that we want him to do, but he knows his limitations, and he knows where he needs to focus, because he listens to the community at large. And that's
more so than people give him credit for, dude. 100%.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I agree.
And
good stuff. Yeah, I mean,
there you go.
no, please continue, please.
No, that's basically all I got to say. It's just you know firsthand what a great guy is, and
I certainly do. I can say that with full authority. I can't say any more than that. But yes, Phil's a good dude.
Yeah. So and that's the thing. He's to be able, through the other members of the community, like Tim and Randall Thor 19, Dealer, all people in the community that he has either been on their shows or talked with, they can tell you that Phil is the real deal.
Yeah.
And that's all I got to say.
No, good stuff. Real quick, Jacob Novik drops an additional $5 super chat. He says, to extend the Japanese publishing where Tango Gameworks would be a start, and say, okay, make Fantasy Dust Fantasy Dust 2, Lost Odyssey 2, and Blue Dragon 2. Yeah, look, I'm going to be honest with you. Lost Odyssey is a game that is one of my favorite JRPGs of all time. You know what I'd love for them to do? And I know that it would take some money, folks. It would take some investment. Give Lost Odyssey 2 the Final Fantasy VII Remake treatment. Spend the bucks on that. Remake the game, and my God, you would have people in every region of the world that like JRPGs freaking the F out. This game has been talked about. Bring it back, bring it back, bring it back, make an HD version. I'd play through it again. The game is a masterclass achievement. Now, Blue Dragon, I didn't like as much. I'm going to be honest with you. I know it's a great game. I played it. I own it. I didn't like it as much as Lost Odyssey 2. I mean, Lost Odyssey, I'd love for them to make a sequel. But I think that if you want to bring in new players, people aren't going to remember the Xbox 360 when this thing came out on 18 discs. You know what I'm saying? You need to bring this back and do it. Give it the Final Fantasy treatment, remake treatment, and you're going to get people freaking out. It would make top news. But Fuzzy, let's get your final opinion on this, and then we will get everyone on out of here. Phil Spencer, the Bloomberg top 50 people in business, and obviously other aspects of the world. The technology and gaming and everything else. But Phil being a part of the business aspect of the conversation is big. Number 11 on the list out of the top 50. That's something special.
Oh yeah, and we have to give credit where credit's due. He's pretty much part of the reason why Xbox is still around this generation.
Yeah.
Xbox, at the beginning of the Xbox One generation, kind of tripped over its shoe, stood up, fell backwards, fell down the stairs, bumped their head a couple of times. It was pretty scary, I guess, for the most part, of how bad they kind of lost touch or lost sight of what gamers wanted at the beginning. And ever since Phil's kind of taken the keys to the building type of deal, he's slowly but surely got them back on track as far as making the Series S, well, not the Series S, but the Xbox One S and the Xbox One X backwards compatibility, Game Pass, a lot of those things, as well as pushing to have the acquisitions for a lot of these studios that are working on games for this generation. A lot of those things help turn things around. And I know some people still prefer metric for whatever reason. I don't get it, but I get that when during his tenure there was a lot more of things that people like as far as the third party deals, but still it showed that path was not as sustainable as what they have now, considering how far Xbox has come or regained ground and within a fairly short period of time. They haven't quite done a Wii U to Switch turnaround, but I would say it's pretty darn close in comparison. I mean, considering how early this generation is, I think they've definitely staved off a lot of the issues that that would have closed the doors on the Xbox division long ago. But Phil's involvement with it, being able to bring up his team, have them build on different things, whether it be the outreach to Japan, Game Pass deals, working with other studios and actually bringing some studios into the fold. A lot of the things that he's touched since he's been promoted within Xbox have definitely benefited the brand, benefited gamers as a whole. And his acknowledgement in that top 50, landing at position 11 shows that. I mean, it's well deserved. I fear the day when he decides he wants to step away from all of this, although he has a good team in place, I think, that will be able to pick up the ball from where he leaves off. But all in all, I think had it not been for him convincing Satya to, go with this Game Pass model and continue on and, get them, all in on gaming, when it seemed like Microsoft all these years was like, it's like a side project that we let the kids run kind of thing. Yeah, they've definitely stepped up and backed or endorsed a lot of the things that Xbox is doing to get them to be like, I think it's one of their top 4 revenue streams within the company, which is saying a lot considering you're $1 trillion company. But it definitely is a well-deserved acknowledgement of his accomplishments. And, I look forward to how this generation turns out and some of the things that we'll hopefully see here soon as far as upcoming games for 2023 and beyond. But yeah, it from when I met him at I guess it was like their E3 equivalent last year, definitely a good dude. It's always great when you have an enthusiast of whatever product or industry your company is in, when you have an enthusiast running it.
Yes.
More times than not, you're going to have a great run. I mean, even when you look at Sony, like what was it, Trent and even Layden, they weren't necessarily. Layden may not have been the biggest gamer, but he definitely gamed a lot more than Jim.
Yeah, but he was so energetic when he was on stage. I love Sean Layden, man. I miss him at Sony. I definitely miss him at Sony.
Yeah. But it's always great when you have an enthusiast in this hobby running the company, because that gives a little bit better perspective. It's not just about the dollars that come in. There's real thought and insight as far as what your customer base may want, or things that make sense, more so than possibly previous leadership like Matrick with forcing the connect in the box. Like, I think had it been a different time, maybe it would have worked a bit better, but all things considered, I think the path that Xbox is on with Phil at the helm is the best combination that we can get right now, and it'll continue on throughout this generation and hopefully into the next one, whatever comes after the series consoles and stuff. So
yeah. No, absolutely. Real quick, Drawn TJ drops an additional $5 super chat and says, "Where are the 2022 cars in Forza Horizon 5? Only 2. It's really annoying. Motorsport better have new cars, just like the old. Otherwise, it's a fat L." Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the cars, to be honest with you. I know that they were supposed to. I know that they're now starting to talk about their other DLC plans.
Mhm.
I think we're going to get a lot of information at this supposed event that's happening in early January, which we'll be talking about in full detail tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. But that's going to do it for today's, a new episode, of course, of the Xbox lunch break special. We just missed by 500 live viewers by a pinch. We're starting to get to that 500 viewership. I do love that. Let's get everyone out of here. And by the way, this is one of my best runs. I leveled up 5 of the 6 weapons. Look at the damage that I am doing. It's sick. It's just sick.
I'm playing that.
Yeah, it's so
Very
good.
soon.
It's so good. Oh my god. My favorite are the books and the garlic. Go for
I love
books
the
and
garlic.
garlic. Garlic is that big black circle you see on the screen is the garlic maxed out. So good. I mean, it just decimates everybody in front of you, even like the really big bosses. It's fantastic. Retri, thanks so much for joining us today, brother. Sell your brand.
Absolutely.
Talk about Game Pass _daily, not only on the Twitter sphere, but you also have a YouTube channel. You drop new videos each and every day, giving us the update. And also, where can people reach out to you on social media?
I first want to say congrats to Crazy Lou for getting married. He jumped in. Congrats, buddy. So yeah, you can find me at Game Pass _daily on Twitter, and you can just look at my profile there and see the links to TikTok and my YouTube. And I, like Boom said, I create content about Game Pass every single day. So check me out.
Well, listen, you'll be back with us tomorrow on the Xbox Factor podcast, live at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. One of the 3 shows we're doing live this week, and then Mrs. Boom and I are going to take a little bit of an extended holiday. We're going to take 5 days off to kind of let our herd down, so to speak. And guess what we're doing on Christmas Eve? Instead of watching Christmas movies, folks, we're going to pop in, and because we haven't played it yet, we destroyed Baldur's Gate 1, the HD remaster, which is one of Josie's favorite games. Well, part 2 have been sitting on. It's been a lot going on us personally. We haven't had a chance. But Christmas Eve, we're going to spend the entire evening playing Baldur's Gate 2. I can't wait. And she's super stoked for that. Yeah, we're going to be playing games and just chilling. And it's going to be nice to be off for 5 days. And of course, listen, well-deserved or otherwise, we cannot do this without this incredible community. And we have been as successful as we are because of you. So a big thank you to everyone who continues to support the brand. Web Dave, sell yours, brother. Talk about where they can check out your incredible YouTube channel, but more importantly, your sit-down one-on-one with the Xbox extraordinaire. He is, I guess you can call him king of Xbox, Tim Dog. They don't make him any greener than that dude, and I've met him in person recently and in E3 2019, and he is a good dude when I tell you. Talk about it. Talk about that interview, where they can subscribe to your YouTube channel, and where can people find you on social media?
Yeah, he even mentioned you on the episode that we interviewed him at.
I have to
that
listen.
You got to sit down. So
That's awesome.
So yeah. It was a great interview, and I hope everybody gets a chance to listen to it. RDX, obviously one of the biggest Xbox podcast out there, and Dealer puts together an amazing panel. And this will be
that Dealer is a good dude. We got to get him back on this program. That's for sure.
Like the third panel member that I've been able to interview. Still got 2 more to go. We're working on them as well. They're very, very busy people. But yeah, Tim Dog's interview is really good. I enjoyed it. He was super fun guy, super let his hair down, as it were, and just and was real good.
Can I give a
communicating with
sneak peek, folks? He can call Phil Spencer anytime he wants. Just FYI.
Yeah. Let's just say he knows his flight schedule. All right, then.
My God,
So,
that's
so,
good
but
stuff.
yeah, it's a good interview, and I've got got some more good ones coming up in the following weeks. I got Sour Blow 18, and I got
Nice.
Mrs. Deus Geek, which was a really,
Oh.
really good interview too. So I've got
Oh,
that
I
one
like
as
her.
well. Those are all coming
She
up
is
all the way
awesome.
up to the
I
beginning
love
of
her.
the year.
She's fantastic. She's a
Me
great
too,
community
me
member.
too.
Yeah.
And hopefully, the beginning of the year, we're going to start off things right and get Lord Cognito is one of the ones I'm working on as well. So anyway, thank you all
Who's that
so
guy?
much.
Cog? What does he have? Is Iron Lords?
Yeah,
I never
Iron
heard
Lords
of them.
podcast. Yeah,
Never
he's
heard of that.
He's almost as big as Kay Asante, who's in the chat. Hey, Kay, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Sante, my brother.
Thanks, Boom. Merry Christmas,
listen,
everybody.
thank you so much, Dave. Well, listen, obviously we have a couple more shows together next week. Like I said, the schedule, folks. Just if you're still here, and we have 300 people here, this week's schedule: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Mrs. BoomStick and I are going to take a nice holiday, so to speak. Thursday and Friday, no shows. Saturday, Sunday, obviously Christmas Eve, Christmas 26th. There's no show because we're having family come over that we can't see on Christmas. And we're gonna be coming over here, and then we're going somewhere out in the evening. But Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we're gonna have shows. And it appears that on New Year's Day, thanks to Dave giving me the thumbs up, and Fuzzy, obviously, if you could be there, that would be great. We're gonna have an actual Xbox lunch break special on New Year's Day, folks.
Nice.
But listen, Fuzzy, sell your brand, brother. Talk about your incredible YouTube channel, where they can get the best info on racing, and more importantly, what other shows are you on, and where can people reach out to you on social media?
As always, want to thank you for having me on. It was awesome being on here with you, Web Dave, and Retri. Definitely like hearing Retri's thoughts and feedback on a lot of things in gaming and whatnot. And it's always cool to go back and forth on a lot of these topics. Also, want to thank everybody in the chat. Thank you for taking the time to watch this show and joining us and interacting with us and having some fun. And just want to say or wish everybody happy holidays. I know a variety of us celebrate, the holidays a little bit differently. I'll say Merry Christmas, but also happy holidays for all of those that, celebrate different versions. For anybody that wants to hear my endless rambles or anything, gaming related that I'm talking about, just follow me on Twitter or just about any other social media platform, Fuzzy_Belvedere. Same thing with YouTube. And if you want to see some of the other shows that I'm on, like later on tonight, there'll be FSP on Fun Speculations channel at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Once again, that's on Fun Speculations YouTube channel. We won't be doing it this Friday, but normally you can find me on Breakfast with Boom at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on this channel. Although I think you said we're going to have like shows mainly through Tuesday and Thursday next week, correct?
Well, listen, you're going to see there's going to be a varied schedule from everyone. All your favorite YouTubers are going to take some time off, well-deserved end-of-year time to kind of just chill. Sometimes it does catch up to you. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, again, Mrs. Boomstick and I wish everyone an incredible holiday season, regardless of what you celebrate. You do have 2 more shows this week. You have Xbox Factor podcast at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then on Wednesday evening, we're going to be talking about how Microsoft missed the mark on that Tomb Raider IP. I mean, they couldn't buy Crystal Dynamics. They couldn't buy the IP, and they certainly couldn't get Eidos Montreal because of the ABK deal. Man, does it hurt even worse now that you see Amazon Studios is producing, publishing? Like, I'm sorry, what happened? We're going to get into it because a lot of the guys on the PTG crew feel the type of way, specifically Mag. Mag is really mad at this. This was an opportunity for Microsoft to get in there and spend some money and lock up that IP, lock up an exclusive IP, and if you didn't want to lock it up, at least publish the damn thing. We're gonna get into that. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this week's new episode of the Xbox Lunch Break Special. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. It's been one hell of an episode. We don't have an outro right now. It's being made as we speak. Hopefully by the new year, we will have that in hand. But of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you in the new year in 2023 with the new episode of the Xbox Lunch Break Special.